what is Burke's main response to Dr. Price? His main response is this: England was not following some general principle about the foundations of government when they overthrew their kings. Particularly, they were not affirming some kind of universal right of the people to, as Dr. Price said, cashier their kings when the people were dissatisfied with their government. Right? I don't think Burke thought any government could survive such a strong principle. Right? He argued instead that the Glorious Revolution was, in a sense, a very cautious, tradition-minded reform. Right? He pointed out, he said, what did they do? They didn't just throw out the king and establish whoever they thought was best. Right? They made the smallest possible adjustment, okay, in the line of succession. Right? They did not change the structure of Parliament. They did not officially change the relationship between Parliament and the king. Right? And they didn't just decide this king is bad, throw him out. Right? They waited until it seemed completely necessary in order to preserve their traditional mode of government, right, before they threw out the king. So in a sense, he's saying Dr. Price did not get the theory behind the Glorious Revolution right. Or in a sense, there was no theory behind the Glorious Revolution. Right? It wasn't an application of some abstract principle that lays down when we can throw out our governments. Right? Instead, it was a cautious response to extreme provocation. That's basically how he described it, not an instance of some kind of abstract theory. Then he turns his attention to the French Revolution, and he says they don't know what they're doing over there. Right? They're basically, they've put these broad sweeping claims of what they can do. France was doing fairly well. The population was increasing, things were increasing materially for people. Sure, there were lots of problems. Right? But there was a lot of good things going on in France. Right? And instead of making patient alterations in what they had, they were coming up with these sweeping radical doctrines, right? And coming up with these grandiose plans for reforming all of society, right? Without taking careful thought to where that was going to lead. Right? And he predicted that it was going to lead to some terrifying actions, right? Which was correct. And he also more or less predicted the rise of Napoleon. He said eventually some charismatic military leader is going to come and seize power here, which is what happened with Napoleon. So that's Burke's critique of the French Revolution.